Man, it's awesome to hop back on here and prepare another market lesson for you guys. Thursday, going into the trading session on Friday, your boy has just been sitting on the sidelines, chilling, to be honest. I'm going straight in. No preparation for this video for you guys today. I just want to break down the charts, let you know what's going on here in the broad market, and then I'll show you guys kind of how I scan when I sit down in front of the computer. I've been running around all day today. My sales job's been keeping me super busy, and I'm super focused on swing trades when I'm busy with my sales job. It's hard for me to come in and day trade these futures markets when I'm not in front of my computer. And guys, I'm not going to do that on the road. I'm not going to be looking for a 1 minute inversion fair value gap when I'm sitting there, whipping down the highway. I will manage a swing trade if I'm on the road. That's fine. But there's no swing trades to take right now, guys. And I'm looking at SPY. QQQ, not so much. QQQ looks like ugly as just, you guys see what I'm looking at here? It just looks disgusting. There's just no shape for me. SPY looks a little more constructive, especially when I zoom out here to the 1 year. Kind of put something like this in here for you guys. I see risk to reward. I see a lot, and I highlighted this last week. This range right here really strikes me as tradable. Very tradable. I just don't see a whole lot. If we lose, if we lose those lows, 670. Zoom in for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, if we lose those these lows right here from mid-December, there's nothing unless it's just the biggest fake out liquidity sweep that we can see. There's nothing telling me that below 670 we don't see 650. And below 650, there's nothing telling me that we don't retrace down here to 640 or 630. I just see that risk reward from the 50 down to the 200 moving average as pretty striking to me. It's pretty glaring. We've got this sort of rounding base going on up here at 700 at key psych level, and we're starting to put in some lower highs. We're starting to put in some lower highs up here. And this is looking like the first time we've really shown we've struggled. Prices struggled at the 50-day moving average. So, man, looking back, again, I haven't been very active, been very hands-off. I'm really wishing that I would have taken a short here, maybe, a month out or a couple weeks out, taken a short position, and, bro, come on. This fair value gap right here is pretty striking. Let's fill that thing in. Yeah, so you guys see that gap I'm talking about. That's a fair value gap, a bearish one, and price struggle did not close above it. Until we violate that bearish fair value gap, look to short on pops. I'd lean bearish until we can hit this 675 and take out these equal lows down here. Pretty glaring to me. Like I said, I've been sitting the sidelines just kind of waiting for something to present itself. And, that's a trade opportunity that I would like to capitalize on. Is a downside move, take a majority of my short position off at 675, and then leave some runners, leave a runner here, and then just for the heck of it, just in case we do hit that home run, we leave a runner for here, 650. Catch a 30% or a 30-point downside move on SPY. Now, how do you play that? I'm not going to be shorting futures. I'm not even going to be shorting a different ETF that correlates with SPY, but to a lesser degree. I'm just simply going to play the put options on SPY. I'm going to take 2 or 3 weeks out, buy plenty of time, and I'm going to build a core position of just barely in the money puts, sprinkled down with some out of the money puts. I'll risk the violation of this fair value gap right here, cut the loss if we close above 690, and I'll put in a position that I'm okay with that. But this is the first trade opportunity that I've really seen this year in the broad markets. We're due to move somewhere, guys. We're just due. And maybe this chop does break out to the upside, but we've kind of come up here and hit this 700 level. We've kind of put this rounding base in. When you do your technical analysis and look back in history, what happened here on SPY? You guys see what I'm talking about right here? Here was another 600 test, a key psychological level. You can't see on the chart, but this level right here is 600. It doesn't let me draw on that, for real? Yeah, okay. Look at this topping pattern right here. We pushed higher. We did put in some higher lows here. We kind of had that ascending triangle look. And this was a key level of 600. We weren't able to push through. Price violates here, rejects. And then we get a quick retracement down to the 200-day moving average. Something like that's what I'm envisioning. I'll keep you guys posted on that idea, but until we break above that 50-day moving average, I'm not interested in longs. I'm just not. UVXY is another chart we're going to keep eyes on. Today, the candle was a gap up and then just kind of a doji up at those highs. This is the most interesting chart that I see. It just is, where SPY seems to be struggling, UVXY seems to be gaining a little bit of momentum. And above 42, you've got space up to 46. You could, if you wanted to short SPY, you could just take lottery longs on UVXY, take them a month out, and just buy the 42 call. There's one hedge fund manager that I like his strategy. What he does is, it's like once every 4 or 5 years this happens, okay? He buys like 30 or 40 points out of the money on UVXY or VIX. And he does it like once every year, but it only needs to hit once every, 10 years for it to be a profitable system. He buys like 30 or 40 point out of the money on VIX, expecting to go to zero. And they do, 8 out of 9 times. But that 9th time that it actually hits and UVXY doubles in price in the span of 2 weeks, and we get a drop like we got back in COVID, or we get a, sell-off like we got back when tariffs were a big deal, he makes, tenfold what he lost on his other losing trades. It's interesting, and I just have to, I think about that every time I see UVXY set up, and I'm like, damn, he lost money here, he lost money here. He's lost money all the last 5 or 6 years, but it's like, damn, is this the time where that trade actually hits? Is this the time where this thing just shoots up and tests the 200-day moving average? The risk reward looks pretty, compelling to me. There's a case for it, and I'll keep my eyes on it going forward. Let's see. The other one we talked about on the last watch list was NBIS and how I liked it above 105. Well, today we pushed above 105. Very interesting. This chart has relative strength. Broke through a key level today, and it closed very strong. Let's see where it opens tomorrow. Maybe a little consolidation within the last 2 days of range. And I could see myself going long here on NBIS. Levels are not changed. Thoughts are not changed on this one. 110, 105, and then targeting 120 for an upside move. What would be awesome? It would be awesome, and you guys see me do this all the time. Here, I'll show you guys what would be ideal for a name like NBIS. This right here. Oh yeah, if we got that, put in like a little head and shoulders, This being your kind of like left head, and then, you know, another shoulder right here. Yeah, put me in some NBIS for a move, for a long move, you know. Capture something up in here. But that's what I'd like to see, guys, is sideways. And then we start to kind of construct ourselves up to those highs. Like this. Yeah, if we see something like that, you know, catch me very interested in this thing. Catch me very, very interested in this name. The 50 EMA starts to kind of rise, work in our favor like that. Yeah, that's a trade I want a piece in right there. That would be A+. I don't know if we'll get that, but I'm patient. I'm patient on it. So let's look at the Forex Factory Friday. I don't plan on trading much, like I said, but there's a lot of red folder news dropping tomorrow. We've got USD, we got PCE price index 7:30 a.m. We've got 8:45 a.m. We've got PMI, new home sales dropping 9 a.m. when the market opens. So some movement expected in futures. Nothing crazy. Let's look at the let's just look at the mega caps real quick. Take a peek. Yeah, guys, I mean, not a whole lot striking my attention right here. NVIDIA, I was looking at it earlier today. NVIDIA is the most constructive mega cap. Above the 50-day, finally. Comes small range candles above the 50 EMA. It still looks sloppy to me, but it is above. It's trading above a flat 50 EMA. And it's been grinding here for a year straight almost. Not a year, but we had that strong push ever since the tariff news. And then we pretty much doubled in price, and we've just contracted beautifully. We've really contracted beautifully in this name for the better part now of 7 or 8 months. So NVDA is market's very dependent on this name right here. Nothing striking for me to go long. 195 looks like a very key level in this chart. Just have to see, you know, I'm just patient to see how things shape up. The patient swing trader, it wins the game, especially when they know where their high probability setups are. When you're envisioning something like NBIS and you're just cool with waiting for it to develop, that's what I'm saying, guys. I don't want to trade anything if it's not A+. What's the point? What's the satisfaction in getting lucky on a B setup? You know, you got to have high standards when it comes to the trades you take. But how do you have high standards if you don't go back and look at what works in the past? You know? And I can go back and pull up A+ setups for you guys and show you, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I can go back to RGTI from last year and show you guys what an A+ setup on the 50-day moving average looks like. Let's go. We'll just do our range from December of 2024 to September of 2025. You know, I can go in and I can predefine range. Hold on. Come on. Predefine, or I can select start in. That's what you want to do. Select start and end, and we'll go 2024, 12, 19, and then we'll go 2025. What did I say? Let's just say October 2025. 1019. All right, look at this beautiful setup. And I did not trade this because it moved on earnings. Right, it moved right on earnings when it set up beautifully. I missed this trade, you know, but looking back, this is the type of shit you want along right here. Higher lows, contracting into a big psychological key level that's been tested many times on the chart. Putting in this constructive base of higher lows. That's awesome. You know, I could show you guys another one. It's just ironic that Tesla looked like that at the time. That's an interesting chart. Tesla, let's go back to 2021. We'll go 2020, 12, 19, and then we'll say 2021, 10, 19. Let's see what that does. Yeah, here's another one, guys. Notice the higher lows. That's where NVIDIA doesn't pass the test. It's too, could go either way. Tesla, this is strong stock right here. A flat top base, higher lows, constructive candles down at the bottom of the range, showing that buyers are very interested here. And you had a lot of chances to get long here. You know, this is one right here. And then we even retested. Beautifully constructed again. You know. That was where our breakout was, and then, you know, you catch this move. What followed here was incredible. I can play the chart. And let's just go to the end of the month. You guys can see, boom, we fucking popped off of that. Obviously, what was the, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back was the all-time highs. That's where the floodgates really opened. And we just ran like crazy on Tesla. And I think it continued to go. Let's even look farther. Let's look at November 16th, see how high. Yeah, we pushed up high and then we sold off a little bit. And then we followed through again. Let's go another month. Let's go all the way to Christmas. Okay, we sold off again. And anyway, that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at historical data, A+ setups. Here's another one I show you guys. ALB. Around this time, this was another really cool setup. Boom. Boom. Kind of ascending triangle, stair step. All-time high break, volume injection. Like, guys, you see what I'm saying? Why I'm not doing shit in the market right now? Where do you see a pattern like that? Like, go through the entire market, scan the shit out of FinViz, look at mid caps, look at large caps, look at small cap tech, bro. Like, there's nothing setting up like that. Until the day I see the names that I like to trade setting up like that, I'm just cool with not doing anything, man. I'm not trying to force a B setup. I'm not trying to force a B setup. So those are the setups you want to trade right there. A+, 50 EMA compression, strong stock. We call it, you know, my guys, my mentors like to call it a flex pattern. I like to say compression, you know, contraction leads to expansion. That's really the thesis of our trading system on swings. And until we get compression, strong compression, you know, I'm not trading. That's all I got for you guys today. I think this was a very, you know, I'd like to do more of that back testing type of scanning lessons for you guys so you can see how you make your money. That's how you make your money as a swing trader. You go back, you work when the charts are closed, when the market's closed. And you scan, you look for setups that produced all-time high moves, that move 20% in a month. You look for repeatable patterns in the candlesticks, in the volume structure, in the previous levels where they moved from. And you also look at the names specifically. So you know that actually this is a name that I could potentially trade. You know, it's got good volume. It's liquid enough for me to move in and out. The option spreads aren't crazy. And this is a name that I could potentially get in and take a position on. But that's it, guys. If you like this video, what is this? This was SNDK. When was this? Oh, this is SNDK right now. Are you serious? I knew I needed to look at this chart. God, look at this chart. Holy shit. I'm glad I looked at this. SNDK is like kind of flagging up here at these highs. Man, it looks like it wants to continue. It looks good, guys. Yeah, clear that. We got two little mini levels here. I'll zoom in for you so you can see. All right, let's get rid of the extra bars. You guys see what I'm saying when I draw out that sideways? We kind of got that sideways look. When I always like to come in here and kind of draw like this, and then I say this, and then I say this, and then I say, we shape up again and try to clear the flat top. That's what I'm talking about. We've got that on SNDK. So you got two little micro levels right here on the chart. You've got the high of yesterday, and you got the high of last high of last week. Friday's candle is 675, and you've got looks like 625. That's 50 points. That's crazy how this thing works, guys. That's 50 points just in between those little micro levels right there. And we've all seen how SNDK can move. So yeah, if I get time to look at the computer tomorrow and lock in on the screens, I'll be looking at SNDK on one screen, and then I'll be looking at futures on the other. For a potential move here from, let's look at the chart. Okay, so the high of yesterday and this high from a couple days ago. Right here. For a potential move up to 660, then your next level is all-time highs. So 627 to 660, that's 30 points of range. If we get like a 15-minute orb or an ABC type of setup on it, that'll be an actionable trade for me tomorrow on SNDK. We've got a fair value gap down here below, kind of working on that higher time frame gap. Yeah, this one has my attention. Let's see what MU looks like. Yeah, another very interesting chart. Still, of course, kind of broad market dependent. But if you don't like the spreads, if you don't like the price of the SanDisk, the SNDK options, MU could be a potential continuation, kind of a momentum play right here. The market's really kind of dependent on these. I shouldn't say dependent, but it's like these names are kind of the only hope, the only needle in the haystack of the broad market right now is these guys. They're the one shining star out there. That's a cool setup. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in SNDK more. And I'll be looking at this tomorrow. If you guys want to live trade with me, hit the like and subscribe to this video. Shoot me a message. I'll lock you in the Discord. Have a great evening, guys. Let's lock in tomorrow.